Welcome back to this week's Mounting Yard preview. My name is Bella Anderson. I'm Betfair's Mounting Yard analyst, and this weekend we're racing at headquarters at Flemington, and it's Dean Lester Flemington Cup Day, and it's going to be a really good day of winter racing, and can't wait to see it from a Mounting Yard point of view. Race 2 is for the 3-year-olds over the 1700 metres, and Cosmic Enigma and Smokin' Princess have both had a gap between runs and a bit of a freshen up, so their fitness levels on Saturday are going to be really important as they're key market players at this early stage on Thursday. And Magnaspin, Crown Crusher and Slain all have paraded Towie previously and performed well doing this, albeit they are rising in trip on Saturday, up a few hundred metres in distance, so I'd like to see a relaxed parade from these gallopers, but it's also not a negative considering I've seen them parade Towie and perform well. Race 3 is a benchmark 78 over the mile for the fillies and mares, and Good and Proper, she's a girl I've seen plenty of times, and she's a big girl at that. She always has a lot of weight to her. She's a really big, strong, solid mare, but don't worry, she is absolutely hard fit. And Picture None is the interesting mare for mine in this field. She's a horse that always gets warm, so certainly don't be worried if you see her sweating up pre-race, but she's another mare that's quite big in size and she tends to carry a fair bit of weight around her, and she's had 5 weeks between runs as well, so her fitness is going to be really important on the day compared to the hard fit Good and Proper. Race 4 for the 3-year-olds over the 1400 metres, and Legio 10, he's the most beautiful type of horse. He's impeccably well bred, as Godolphins often are, and he's a lovely horse to look at in the mounting yard. He's one I've taken a few runs to get used to as he carries a lot of weight. He doesn't have a whole lot of muscle definition, and from my point of view, I've always really struggled to tell if he's hard fit because he does carry that excess weight, but he's got a beautifully radiating summer coat considering we are now in the depths of winter, and fourth up here I can definitely confirm that he is hard fit. And cause for concern as well, he's an intriguing runner. I've seen him his 2 most recent parades, and 2 starts ago he paraded really Towie and he won on that occasion, whereas last start he was nice and relaxed. So regardless of if you see him Towie or relaxed, we know cause for concern runs well regardless. Race 6 over the 2800 metres is the Dean Lester Flemington Cup, and it's going to be a really special day on course for everyone, seeing this race named after Dean Lester, who was so instrumental in getting the Flemington Cup back up and running. In a few key notes on some runners in the market, and the first of that is Farrago. Don't be concerned at all if you see him getting a little bit warm pre-race. He's a natural free sweater, and he's also a horse who's taken a few runs to get fully fit, as he tends to carry a lot of condition early on in his preparation, but last start he was finally looking fit and he's certainly ready to go on with it now and ready for the rise in distance, and that should really suit based on type as well. And 2 other key chances, both Mimi's Award and Mostly Cloudy. They're naturally lean, athletic, staying types. They're quite petite. They never hold much weight or condition on them, but that's very typical. They certainly won't have lined off, and that's just how they parade. Race 7 is a benchmark 84 over the 1200 metres down the famous Flemington Straight, and this is the race I am undoubtedly most looking forward to on the day. I really love assessing sprinters, and this is a pretty good looking field considering it's only a benchmark 84 as well. Zach DeBoss has had 4 weeks between runs, and I actually laid him last start due to the fact that he was lacking fitness. So the fact that he's had a gap between runs is a real question mark for mine. So that's Zach DeBoss. His Bonneville has also had a gap between runs, but he's a horse that's often best with a bit of a freshen up. He tends to hold a little bit of extra weight, and that's just extra energy that fuels him really. So he's our Bonneville. I'm not as concerned with the gap between runs. I actually think he'll thrive off it. Ranting is the most intriguing runner for me. He's first up for the Nick Ryan stable. There's been really good early market support for him as well, so can't wait to see the way in which Ranting returns to the races. Prowling, another one who's got a really big question mark on it for mine. He's a horse I've always loved. I absolutely love Prowling. He's a horse that's typically a really good box ticker. He has always presented in a really consistent, honest, good manner, but I laid him last start, and albeit he ran 3rd, I think he was a little bit flat, and I think he looked a bit flat in the mounting yard on that day. He was a touch dull in his coat, and it was just his overall sense. I'd seen him look better. So Prowling, he's continued on with his preparation, so I'm really interested to see how he parades on Saturday, and I'm hoping to see him back to his normal, vibrant, bright self, because that's what I have normally always seen from him. But Prowling is a question mark again for me, and Do Your Punk and Skywolf, they're 2 great paraders. They're both beautiful looking horses, particularly Skywolf, who we tipped last start when he was first up. He is such a handsome horse. He's an absolute dude. He's really sassy in the mounting yard, so you'll see him strutting around on his toes, but that's very typical of Skywolf and Do Ya Punk. Well, we know what you get with Do Ya Punk. He's just an honest, tough guy. Race 8 over the 2,000 metres, and Normandy Bridge looking to make it 4 wins in a row, and very normal for this galloper to be toey and quite a handful in the mounting yard, but that certainly hasn't stopped him from getting the 3 wins in a row. And Deep Strike and Flash Feeling, both normal for these gallopers to get quite warm and sweat up pre-race, so don't be deterred if you see that from either of those two. Race 9 is a benchmark 78 over the 1,000 metres, and I think this mounting yard is going to be one of the most important of the day due to the fact that there's a lot of runners either returning from a freshen up with a gap between runs or are first up for their preparation, and they're key in early markets as well, and that's Najim Suhail, Booney, No Way Ever and Zion. So their respective fitness levels are going to be a major factor in what happens in the market, particularly late. So make sure you're staying tuned for the Mounting Yard Mail and Betfair Markets late, because I think it's going to be really telling for this race in particular. Normal for Najim Suhail, Nazrawi and Tax-Free Profit to sweat up pre-race. These three are quite enthusiastic paraders in the mounting yard. They tend to get a little bit excited, as sprinters often can, so it's certainly not a concern at all. Najim Suhail's obviously the really interesting runner. He's first up from a spell, and last prep he definitely got above himself in the mounting yard, but he did get better throughout his prep, and I wonder if that was maybe acclimatising to how we race in Australia, settling into his new environment, maybe the fact that he was maturing mentally. So I think he's going to be really fascinating, but either way, if you see him toey and warm, don't be deterred. He certainly can win looking like this. And Zion, oh, Zion. Such a good looking horse. He has so much potential. He just needs to do it on the track, and he just simply needs to run up to his really good looks. Well, that's it for this week's Mounting Yard preview. Stay tuned to Betfair and I's Twitter platforms on Saturday for my live Mounting Yard Mail. I'm of course going to be on track at Flemington, and it's going to be a terrific winter racing day, of course, in honour of Dean Lester and the Flemington Cup. But like I touched on, a few sprint races I'm really looking forward to, and it's going to be a great day on track. So stay tuned for Betfair and I's live Mounting Yard Mail on Saturday.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.